Welcome to Obsidian Media, your number one destination for the most exotic and the most unsung media news stories found across the world. So, nobody pays attention to your story, but suddenly they do. And often that moment comes not from compassion, but from an opportunity. When wealth appears, or when resources surface, or when a crisis becomes too visible to be ignored by the world finally turns its cameras towards you. But attention is not always a blessing. Sometimes it brings danger. So Sudan is a perfect example. Its tragedy didn't appear overnight, and it didn't trend because the world felt emotionally connected. It didn't get the same sympathy as places like Palestine or Syria were able to evoke in the mind of public all around the world. Its suffering remained in the shadow, partly due to racial bias, partly due to the fact that people felt helpless, and partly due to the fact that Sudan lacked in images and symbols which evoked the attention of worldwide media easily. So in this video we are going to tell you about the current war which is happening in Sudan. So as the focus of the world media is focused on the war in Ukraine and Gaza, Sudan is burning in internal conflict which is raging since April 2023. So according to many news sources, the international actor which is most responsible for fueling the conflict in Sudan is UAE. What it is doing is like it is supplying arms to the rebels, and in turn it is able to smuggle gold from Sudanese gold into its territory with the help of various companies like Al Junaid. The world media is focused on the wars in Ukraine and Gaza. Sudan is immersed in an internal conflict, a bloody civil war which erupted in April 2023. Although this war in Sudan is highly ignored by the world media, still there is a lot of international state intervention. So there are countries which are actually fueling this conflict by seeing their own gains. So according to a report, UAE is one of the countries which is actually fueling the war in Sudan. So what they are doing is that they are actually providing the rebels with arms, and in return the rebels are providing with the Sudanese gold which they are smuggling off back to their country with the help of companies like Al Junaid. So this conflict has been intensified due to the international countries who are actually trying to take benefit from the internal conflict of Sudan. So firstly, there are these two factions, the RSF and the Sudanese armed forces. The countries, what they are doing, they are targeting any one of them, any one of these rebel groups. They are providing them with arms and ammunition, and in return they are taking back the Sudanese gold. So it is quite common for one of the rebel group and the other armed force, SAF, Sudanese armed forces, that they're employing this technique of gold exchange for arms and to get the medical treatment. So but it is actually the rebels group, the RSF, which is the leading producer of gold. So why it has happened? Because in the year 2011, when South Sudan got its independence from Sudan, the gold mine, the Jebel Emir gold mine, it got into the hands of the rebel group. So from there they are producing more and more gold. So we can see that the UAE, they are undoubtedly using their gold suppliers in the country, so that they are able to produce to get the more gold back to the Emirates in return for the arms support, the medical treatment, and other financial remuneration for the rebels. So according to reports by the various European sources, various European and American sources, it is the UAE who is actually trying to further perpetuate the war by showing its presence in the region with the help of support it is providing them, with the help of hospitals and the airfield between the Sudan and the Chad border. So it is there from that hospital they are actually organizing the smuggling of goods and gold back to Emirates, and they are able to provide treatment for the rebels. So there was also a report in 2023 when the Ugandan authorities, they found that the airline carrying airline from Dubai to en route to Chad was actually carrying ammunition and arms. But when it was discovered, the Emiratis, they actually said that they were not involved in the conflict anymore. Next, it was during a United Nations security meet. The ambassador of Sudan to the United Nations, he actually alleged the UAE for actually fueling the war by referencing to the 6 Emirati passports which were found in the Khartoum region. Khartoum region is the highly intensified war zone. So after those passports was found, the UN ambassador to Sudan, he actually condemned those people for actually getting for the alleged involvement in the war. But the Emiratis, they in Abu Dhabi, they actually refused their involvement at any cost by saying that they are actually working for the humanitarian support for the people. So apart from these two countries, we have also the Russian involvement coming forth. You know, the group, the Wagner group, the paramilitary force of Russia, it actually has been involved in the region even before the start of the conflict. It has been reported that they are actually exploiting the region for gold for many more years before. So what they are doing this is that the Wagner group is actually providing providing arms and ammunition to the armies of Central Africa, Chad and Libya. So what they are doing, they are trying to find the mercenaries and soldiers who are at their mercy. So what they are doing, they are also providing them with air defense systems which are actually portable. Another interesting thing to note is that the Wagner group is actually working in collaboration with the UAE, which is actually helping it financially as well. So now there are actually two stances for Russia. One is the Wagner group, another is the official Russian stance, which is quite different. Russia don't want gold from it, but it actually want more than that. It wanted support in the naval base. So the Russian military, it actually need a naval base in Sudan in order to explore its worldwide territory. So currently Russia is on the side of Sudanese armed forces because its leader has actually agreed to build a logistic port for Sudan in return for ammunition and military equipment to be provided to them at any time whenever there's an urgent need for that. But the international intervention doesn't concede only these two countries. There are more coming. Then what happened? You know, there's a case of Ethiopia as well. When they made their dam, which is known as Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam on the Nile River, it actually brought a security concern for Egypt, because Egypt thinks that if Ethiopia is able to build, if Ethiopia has built the dam, then it might reserve the water more than it need, and in that case, like, it could control the water supply coming to Egypt. So what Egypt wants is that Egypt is looking for actually a more healthy ally in the Africa, which is, it wants a stable government in Sudan so that it could stand by it. It needs a more sovereign kind of government in Sudan. So it is supporting the Sudanese armed forces because it needs a strong ally which can support himself during the times of crisis with Ethiopia. So we can see that this civil war, it actually has a lot of international actors which are working to get benefits on behalf, which are working to get benefits irrespective of the human losses which is taking place in Sudan. According to reports, there are 25 million people have suffered in this, and a lot have been are internally displaced. There's unnumbered, like more than millions have been killed, and millions have to leave their homes, starving and not finding the refuge anywhere. So it's actually a high time where the international conscience it get elevated, and so that whatever their business goals could be for their country, I think they should remold their strategy, because it is taking a toll on the human lives. Thank you for watching.